Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to From the Nosebleeds. As you can see, it looks a little bit different today. I'm Joey Gunnar here from my house, taking a sick day today. It's going to be just me doing the show, and it's going to be a fun conversation about Bo Nix and his run for what could be an MVP type season. It looks like he might be having one so far, but with the way that he started early in the year, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But there are some big factors to what he's done this season. Should Bo Nix be an MVP? Should he not? Does he have a better case than other candidates out there? I guess we'll see. Let's break down some of the things that we're going to be looking at. And I really wanted to start this conversation because of what, we were talking about with Nikola yesterday. When he joined the show, AP and I talked about how well Bo played in this last game up against the Packers and how important that game was. Such an important game. Ended up getting the win. That's a huge win, probably the biggest win of the season so far, and that's including the same season games where they went out and they beat the Eagles and they beat the Chiefs and they dominated the Cowboys. Another MVP candidate in there in Dak Prescott. But he's still behind Drake May. Bo Nix is fourth right now in the MVP odds by that have been created by Vegas, behind Matthew Stafford, who looks like the runaway favorite so far, Drake May, and Josh Allen. Now, the Drake May one is really what sparked this conversation in my head. It sparked the conversation yesterday with Anilo and I. Bo Nix on Sunday, this past week, up against the Packers, threw for over 300 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and beat a team by more than 3 points, a team that had a positive record by more than 3 points. Drake May hasn't done one single thing, one of those things throughout this entire season. He hasn't thrown for more than 300 yards in the game. He hasn't thrown for 4 touchdowns in a game, and he has not beat a team with a positive record by more than 3 points. So why is Drake May getting all this love while Bo Nix isn't? He is playing at a high level. He's strung together a couple of really great games recently, but what I think is going to hold him back from winning the MVP this season is how slow of a start he had. And overall, his stats are good, but Bo Nix at the beginning of the season, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I was out there on this show talking about how it might be a sophomore slump season for Bo. It seemed like it really was towards the beginning of the year. Now it doesn't seem like that, of course, at all. Best record in the entire league. Bo Nix is out here balling, putting up incredible numbers, but he's still fourth behind of those other candidates out there. Let's take a look at his season stats right now. 320 for 504, 3,256 passing yards, 23 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 254 rushing yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns. You got 3 more games left in the season to do some more and add some more to those numbers. I honestly think the cap will, like the peak of what he could do this season is 4,000 yards, and then maybe I want to say 30 passing touchdowns, but that seems like a lot to me. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments there, but he has gone out there and he right now is having an incredible season. If I had to answer my own question right now, is Bo Nix or should Bo Nix be an MVP candidate? I would say probably not, but I wanted to sit here and have this conversation because of the fact that we could see him be one next season if he just continues to play the way he plays in the latter halves of the seasons that we've seen so far. We saw him last season start pretty slow. It took until I believe week 4 to throw his first passing touchdown of his career. And then towards the end of the season, he had his best game of his career against the Chiefs. And sure, it was the, second team players out there in week 18, but he had a great game, and now he's doing that same kind of thing. He's had the best game of his career in this past week, late in the season, up against the Packers. He only got 3 games left, and he's having his best games of his career now. So he is trending in the direction of an MVP 110%, but is that something that you can get this season? I would say probably not. And again, let me know what you guys think in this in the comments. There are these other candidates. Matthew Stafford is having a legendary season. I'm actually looking at the stats of each players right now, or each of the players in this conversation for MVP. And Matthew Stafford is just having too good of a season to deny. I mean, he is up there right now having one of the greatest seasons ever. He's thrown for 37 touchdowns and 3,722 yards. He's only behind Dak Prescott in yards per overall yards. Dak's at 3,931. Bo Nix is all the way down at number 9. For touchdowns, he's tied for 5th in the league. He's thrown 9 interceptions, which isn't necessarily great, but it's not, terrible. It's just Bo Nix is hanging out right now in the middle of the top. There's these top areas where the Matthew Staffords are, the Dak Prescotts are having these incredible seasons. And I'm really still, I understand that Bo Nix is up there, but why is Drake May second in the MVP voting odds, or the odds right now set by Vegas, and Bo Nix is so much further behind with odds that are just astronomically large? So it just doesn't make sense to me why he's not being given the same credit, especially when he's arguably having a better season than Drake May. Drake May is, of course, getting those stats, but Bo Nix is out there winning games. I mean, he's got the best record in the league. He's got a better record than Matt Stafford. And I get the defense is helping the Broncos more than any other team in the league, but wow, Bo is leading this team to wins. He's led them on game-winning drives. He's had incredible games where he's thrown for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and then beat teams like the Packers. He looked incredible in games against the Cowboys where he's just completely dominant. And I do believe, again, like we can go back to this, that he can win an MVP, just not this season. Now, next season, we said that it's starting the season quicker, but I want to change the topic a little bit. And next season, sure, winning the MVP would be great. Seasons out, winning the MVP would be great. But right now, I don't think that anybody on this team is thinking about the MVP. I don't think anybody's thinking about the DPOY. I think right now, obviously, what's on everybody's mind is getting that number 1 seed and going into the playoffs with a home field advantage and winning games and leading this team to a Super Bowl run. Bo Nix will be the first to tell you that. I guarantee it. You ask him about the MVP, he's going to talk about how they want to go out there and win a Super Bowl. So what's more realistic right now? It's winning a Super Bowl, obviously. That's more of a realistic task. There are things that Sean Payton has said where he's talked about, how this is one of the few teams that he's had that feels like a Super Bowl winning team. Bo Nix has talked about how they have this energy moving forward into the latter half of the season, moving forward into the playoffs, that they can't be stopped. They look completely and utterly dominant. And really, I don't think that an MVP is on anybody's mind in that locker room. And I think last of all, Bo Nix's mind. I do love some of these comments. Roy, it's always good to see you in the comments. I see you're here in the comments. I kind of wonder if you would get overlooked for MVP. East Coast Bronco, you don't get to be on the BO bandwagon. Sorry, the BO wagon. All right, man, whatever. I've been harsh on Bo. And I won't just sit here and deny that. But he is completely turned around in the second half. And I think it was fair to be harsh on Bo earlier in this year. He had some really bad performances. They started the season 1-2, and he was barely winning games up against the Jets. But then he goes out and he has incredible performances up against the Cowboys, and he dominates the Packers, and he leads this team to an 11-game win streak. First team in the AFC to clinch a playoff spot. Chiefs are knocked out of the playoffs. And we're talking about the Broncos getting the AFC West for the first time in a long, long time. And not only that, but getting the AFC overall. So, yeah, I kind of can be on the BO wagon. I'm a fan of Bo Nix. And I know that what he's doing is incredible. And I don't want to be here, sitting and acting like, and I just realized I've been saying BO, obviously Bo, but I don't want to be sitting here and acting like what he's doing isn't incredible. He's had some bad games. He's had some bad performances, but he should be an MVP candidate. That'll do it for today's episode. A bit of a shorter episode today. As I said, taking a sick day, so I don't want to sit here and talk too much, wear out my voice, but thank you guys all for joining. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.